Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni muli wanji, namaste, jambo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jadley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so honored that you're joining us in our mission to help families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. We have two wonderful guests for you today. First, J Kruk is going to be here to celebrate Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse. And then later on in the episode, Estelle Bardon will be here to celebrate the Miley book series. Before we invite our guests into the studio, we want to let you know we have a brand new Reading with Your Kids certified great read. It's Mickey on the Move by Michelle Wagner. We are so excited. You know, many kids are born with or develop hearing problems, which leads them to wear hearing aids or to have a cochlear implant. Mickey on the Move, a delightful children's book by Michelle Wagner, is our latest Reading with Your Kids certified great read, and it helps readers to learn about what a cochlear implant is and how it can help those with hearing problems, and is told in a way that a child can really understand and identify with. Mickey on the Move is about a little boy named Mickey who is used to being on the move. Today is the day he starts a new year at his brand new big school, but he isn't worried as this would be his fifth new school. Mickey has a problem. He doesn't hear as well as other kids, but with the help of his bilateral cochlear implants, Mickey is starting to explore all the sounds in the world around him. He is able to communicate with his teachers, his friends, and his family. He is able to share ideas and have fun with his friends at school. All is well until his mother finds out that Mickey's been sneaking into the library for lunch. Mickey's mom, his teacher, and his friends help and support Mickey so that he can have a better experience during lunchtime. This book was inspired by the fact that Michelle's son was profoundly deaf in both ears, and she made it her mission to get him what he needed to live his best life. Mickey on the Move, it's a wonderful, wonderful book, one that can really inspire some fantastic conversations with your kids. Mickey on the Move by Michelle Wagner. It's our brand new certified great read. Joining us right now from the great state of California. I'm really, really excited. Our guest is the author and illustrator of Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse. Please welcome to the show, J Kruk. KJ, how are you?
I am so well. Thank you so much, Jed. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, KJ got up early to be with us this morning. I'm on the East Coast where it's cold and snowing, and she's on the West Coast where it's early in the morning. It doesn't matter what it is outside. Well, I'm excited to learn all about Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse. Tell us about it, please.
Sure. So it is a middle grade science fiction novel about an 11-year-old boy who follows his dreams for a better education in science to the new school inside of the moon.
New school inside the moon?
Yes. I know, pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. And then once he gets there, he and his friends find out that the new luxury city isn't all it's cracked up to be. There's definitely some mysteries lurking behind the corners of Luna City. And so he has to ultimately decide, after he gets there, if it's someplace he really wants to be or not.
That's kind of something a lot of kids in that age group have to figure out. You know, they're trying to find their place in the world, and they get together with this group and then that group, and they're trying to figure out, these are friends I want to have.
Yeah, exactly. So the story is kind of an artistic take on my life. Growing up, I was, something of like an art kid prodigy. I was really, really talented at a really young age. And so I had a lot of recognition growing up, and was sent to a boarding school for the arts when I was like 14. So Leo was a little younger, but I kind of painted the same thing, but, in a science version with Leo and his story.
Oh, cool. I love that. I'm one of those kids. I'm almost 100 years old, and I remember where I was when man first touched down on the moon. And back then, that was such an important part of our lives: space travel and exploration, and the moon, and dreaming about going to the moon. And then it seems like a generation or two kind of lost that.
It did, yeah. So true. And I grew up all over the place, but I started out in Florida, and I remember going to the Space Center there and just being so captivated by everything. And I wanted to go to camp and all this stuff. But my father kind of informed me, I'm not sure that you're the right kind of mind for space exploration. You've got to do math, a lot of math, and I've never been really fond of math, so.
Well, yeah, it's sometimes our talents don't always align with our dreams, do they? Right.
So yeah, definitely. So, I do totally agree with how back in my time as well, the moon and just everything was kind of standstill. But I think we're reaching a really exciting time right now with going back to the moon and the mission to Mars, that everybody is actually we have this new sort of space age coming up, and I'm seeing a lot more excitement from kids in general about space.
Yeah, it really is. I'm really happy about that. It's funny. I used to dream about, maybe being an astronaut, or, by the time I'm a grown up, going to the moon is going to be an everyday thing. It's like getting on a plane and going to California. And then as I got older, I started learning what it's like going into space. I don't know if I could handle all the G-force and all that when you're taking off.
Yes, right. I think the flight would definitely freak me out.
Absolutely. One of the things that I was really impressed when I was reviewing and prepping for the interview is this isn't just a book for you. This isn't just a series. You are creating a Leo Gray universe for kids to explore. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we have, coming up soon is the online Lunar Academy. And I guess before I, went off on my, trajectory of doing real estate and then getting lost and then finally doing my art and getting back in touch with it, I had wanted to be a teacher. And so I instantly knew, after I realized I had even written a book and got it published, that this was something that needs to be, delivered to kids in a way that's fun, and of course educational, but I want to provide them, just something richer than just, some teaching material or library material or what have you.
I like to remind families and remind kids too is, our human world, we need everybody. And a lot of times people think, if you want to be an astronaut, then you got to be a science geek. But, the space program is more than just those men and women who are in the space capsule. There's a vast team of people who make that happen, engineers and scientists. But they also have the PR people, the artsy people who need to be able to express what we're learning and share that information and get people excited about the different projects and get the public to support it. So I love the fact that you're kind of reinforcing that message, letting kids know that, hey, we're all in this together. Everybody has talents that can really contribute and make this a success.
Very, very much so. And it's so important right now, I feel, especially with this, lack of teachers to students, with the classroom, with the online learning, that kids are still able to get that pat on the shoulder. And I think one way of doing that is, again, by helping them to see what they love, and then, showing them that there are other kids out there in the community around the globe that love it too, and be able to, go off each other's ideas. And so we have all these fun little competitions set up for for the Academy as well to help sort of spark, kids to start thinking, hey, how can I take my art and actually use it in the real world?
You're talking about, Leo Gray going to the moon, going to this new world, and he's not sure that he loves living in it. That must have been, I was just thinking that moving from Minnesota to Hawaii, talk about going from one extreme to another, that must have been quite a cultural shock for you.
Yes, it was, and I loved it. It was so freeing and beautiful, my time there, but at the same time, I just completely kind of was on this downward spiral. I was 20-some, like 22, 23 when I moved, so very much still trying to discover, who I was as an adult, right? Mm-hmm. And then starting this vacation rental business, and there was all these stresses, I think, that kind of blocked me from being creative initially. So normally, I come, from an arts background. I've always been like a traditional classical portrait artist. And I never had really thought about writing until I just couldn't paint anymore in Hawaii, despite it being, the most beautiful place in the world. Everything I was painting was just turning to mud, and it was so depressing. And so that was when I kind of thought back to, all the other things I loved to do in school, which one of them was always creative writing. So that's kind of how Leah's story started off too, was me just tapping back into, hey, what did I like to do in school? And then exploring that.
Wow. I'm really happy that you found this way to, take the creativity that was, kind of stalled and you weren't able to paint, but also, find a way to express yourself creatively and also pull yourself up out of that depression that you mentioned. Was there a person that helped you with that? Was there a book that you read or something that just kind of gave you that spark to pick up?
I think it really was Leo's story that I just suddenly had this huge burst of excitement within me. I was watching the movie, the Disney movie, I think is it called Soul? Yesterday, where this guy, he loves playing piano and suddenly has this burst of realization that, it's what he loves, he's in his moment. And that was definitely what happened with Leo's story. It's suddenly I'm writing a book. Oh my goodness. And I was just going. And, I think that was what pulled me through, my darker times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful that you were able to do that. If there's somebody out there listening that maybe kind of feeling that same kind of I don't know if it was hopelessness or frustration that you were in, is there a piece of advice you can give them that might help them find their way out?
Yes, let me think for a second. Because it's so important. If you're feeling sad, right, or off track, I think it could, there could just be you're not doing what it is you love. Maybe you're doing what other people think you should be doing, right? Maybe, I feel for me, it was very much my career at the time that was killing me. I was making fantastic money, really, really great money, but I wasn't being, creatively satisfied. So I wasn't being true to myself, and who I grew up being was an artist. And, at the same time, I myself was growing away from painting into writing, and I needed something new. And so maybe just, look back at the things you loved doing when you were a kid, and try those things again, right? I never in a million years thought that I was going to be an author. An illustrator I might have been able to see, but I got good grades in English, but my grammar's terrible. I can't spell. I don't even read fiction for the most part. So I didn't think I was qualified, to write either. So I think that's the biggest thing I would say is just, look back to who you really are as a person. What makes you tick inside, and are you being honest to that? And then not making the excuses that, well, I can't do this or I can't do that because of this or because of that. Because that's another thing that, even I was doing at the time. It's like, I can't publish a book. I've got to be the vacation rental person that I am. I've got to make the money I'm making. And I had to just say, and if I want to be happy, I'm going to have to throw this all away. And I did, and it was a very big risk, but it's been it's been even more rewarding. So,
well, congratulations on that. I think that's wonderful advice. And despite the fact that you don't have great English grammar and that you can't spell, you've certainly hit it out of the ballpark with Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse, because it's won all sorts of awards and acclaim.
Yes, I've been completely baffled by that. And I was just having another interview just yesterday, and I was speaking with the lady, and we were touching on the fact that finally when one of my editors had gone to Harvard, and she was like, wow, this is such a well-written manuscript. And I was just floored. I was like, are you kidding me? For me, I felt kind of like Captain Jack Sparrow wrote the book, especially during my time in Hawaii. I was pretty much on the beach half the time when I was writing it. Anyways.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, can we expect more in the series?
Yes, more is coming, and I'm so excited because I don't think anybody knows what direction it's going from the reviews. I think a lot of people like to put these sort of other book filters on top of my book, which might be missing the point, but but I'm also happy about that because it means book 2 will really, really blow them away.
Excellent. Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse and more about you. So where can they go online?
Sure. So it's pretty easy. It's Leo, Leo, Gray, Gray, books.com, or KJ Kruk, KRUK.com. So kjkruk.com or leograybooks.com. And, or on social media, we're at Leo Gray Books or at Kruk Galaxy.
We've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse, a great middle grade sci-fi novel written by our guest, J Kruk. KJ, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation with J Kruk. Be sure to check out Leo Gray and the Lunar Eclipse. Right now, before Estelle Bardon joins us to tell us about the Miley book series, we want to let you know if you're an author of a great children's book, you may want to check out our Reading with Your Kids Certified Great Read program. It's a wonderful way to help your book stand out from the thousands of books that are published every single month. You can find out about it by going to our website, readingwithyourkids.com. Click on the Authors Click Here button at the top of the page and scroll on down to Great Reads. Joining us right now from Northern California. I'm excited. Our guest is the creator of the Miley book series, a series of personalized early readers. Please welcome to the show, Estelle Bardon. Estelle, how are you?
Yeah, good. And you, Jen?
I'm wonderful. Thanks very much for being on the show. I'm excited to learn about the Miley book series. Tell us all about it, please.
Yeah, well, Miley Book is a personalized book series to help children learn how to read. So the first set is composed of 7 books that are progressive learning, starting with cat and rat, moving on into dog, pug, fox. On 7 books, each book contains 12 pages. The first page has some words to learn, including sight words, and it ends with comprehension and discussion questions.
Now, when we say that these books are personalized, what do we mean by that?
Yeah, so we personalize the book with the avatar, so the look of the child, the name of the child, and the favorite color. So the clothes of the child is going to be wearing the favorite color of the child.
Cool. So now, do we need I was one of those kids who, every time I went to on a vacation, we went into the gift shop and they had those little license plates or something with the different names on it. I was never able to find one with the name Jed on it. Do we have to worry about that? Are there just certain names, or is any name in the world can be into the books?
That has a maximum of 10 characters.
Maximum of 10 characters. I think that covers most names.
Yes, actually some people want to do first and middle names because it gives actually some choices. And you're right, actually there was this little girl who was 6 years old and started to read her first book, which was Miley book. Her name is Adeline, with 2D, a Y in there, and 2 N's. And the first reaction was, nobody was able to spell my name correctly, so I've never had anything personalized for my own name. That was a big deal for her, like you.
Yeah, so now it's been almost 100 years since I used to be looking for those personalized things with my name on it. But tell us a little bit about why it's so important, or how empowering that is to have a book that featuring your kid on the pages.
Well, first, I'm a mom, so what I noticed with my own children is whenever I was using their own name or anything they liked, they were more engaged. And it turned out that I interviewed some teachers, and they confirmed the same observation, is in order to get the attention of the child, they were using the name into any type of exercises. And I found out that there are actually research on the internet saying that children exposed to personalized content showed significantly better knowledge about the words that were in the personalized sections of the books than the words in non-personalized sections. So there is a direct correlation between personalization, engagement, and actually memory.
Wow. This is really fascinating. So you were inspired by just that experience with your kids. Did you always think that you were going to be a children's author?
So actually it starts with my own story where I had dyslexia. So I had a terrible learning experience. At the age of 6, I was confusing letters. And so I remember my first experience with that teacher that gave me my first score in my first grade. And I had the worst possible, and I cried. But I didn't know why I failed that much, and I wanted to be a good student. So I remember how difficult it was to actually be back to the levels all the other students had, and it meant studying hours and hours every night, starting at 6 years old. And they were not fun exercises. They were just repetition. There was nothing fun about this. So then when my own daughter at 3 was considered a slow learner, labeled as, I got scared. And then they told me, yeah, try Bob books and allow her to color because she loves coloring, so that could be an incentive whenever she's finished with the book. And try Bob books, try the coloring incentive, and nothing. And I was like, well, I don't want her to have this experience where at 6, she's like me, she doesn't know her letters or even how to read. And at the end, that as I noticed that she was interested in personalized activities, that's where I was like, oh, but maybe I can do a Bob books that would have her name in it, and that would be fun, with some connections with the different characters. And that's how the idea came to life.
Wow. Do you have a vision as to how far are you're working with early readers right now? Are you looking to possibly, move along with the child? So if a child has set 1 as an early reader, they're going to be able to move into the next level of reading level up and up and up as they grow, kind of like Harry Potter, I guess, grew.
Exactly. So the first series is the level 1 that I call early imagined reader. That is the reader that is starting to make connections between the letters and can blend the consonant and the vowel. So this is really what we call CVC, consonant vowel consonant, with high frequency words. And then it goes up to the level 4 with chapter books. That's the vision. And I want to add a level 0 because I have a 3-year-old that doesn't know how to even sound all her letters. And so this one would be to help with the sound of the letters using the letters of the first name. So my daughter is Zoe, and there's going to be a book, putting more emphasis on the Z. So she's going to go to the zoo and meet some zebra and listen to jazz.
Awesome.
That's level 0.
Very,
that's in my
very, very cool. Well, I know folks are going to want to know where they can find out more about the Miley book series and possibly order their own. So where can folks go online? You were mentioning you have a website?
Yes. So it's mileybook.com, MYLIBOOK.com.
And that's the only place. This is probably the only book that you can't order on Amazon. Am I right?
Well, actually, I'm trying to set up my profile on Amazon. You can order personalized books now on Amazon. It's a different API, but it seems that we can. Actually, the books are also on Etsy, which is also an option for people that are on Etsy. The shop is also Miley Book.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we've had a great time talking about personalized early readers and how that can really make a difference in a kid's life and a kid's approach to reading. And we've been talking with the creator, Estelle Bardon. Estelle, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Ed. I really appreciate it.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Morgan Limo. She will be joining us to celebrate the trip of your dreams. It really is a fun conversation that you don't want to miss. Hey, please be sure to visit our website, readingwithyourkids.com. You want to sign up for our newsletter? Alejandra Doherty does a fantastic job putting together a newsletter, letting you know what's coming up on the show, what you might have missed, sharing great recipes you can do with your kids, and giving you lots of other information. You can do that at readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guests, J Kruk and Estelle Bardon. Also want to thank my team, Alejandra Doherty, Fatima Khan, Alexia Brown, Hannah Pat Opoyski. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking through the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.